So, my first thought of Hong Kong, I just have this visual image in my head of like looking down on the city and just looking down on the streets and seeing a million people and the smells. Like, I'd say the first thing that comes to mind about Hong Kong is the smells, which is funny because Hong Kong actually means the fragrant harbor. That's what the phrase Hong Kong means, or Xianggang, whatever Chinese language you're speaking. Um, But yeah, so as you're walking around anywhere, most like I guess in the bigger cities, the bigger parts of Hong Kong, the smells change a lot quicker just because there's a lot more going on. But just anywhere, like just there's these smells that are just coming and going and all over the place. And so you'll be walking down the street and you'll walk past a bread shop and it just smells like heaven and just like this fresh baked pineapple bun and cocktail bun. And then keep walking down the street and then it smells like just fishy strangeness, and then you're walking down the street a little bit further and there's like this really strong like just rotten egg sulfur smell that comes and goes sometimes, and that's something that I noticed all over the place. And it's funny because now whenever I'm here back in America and I smell something like that, it just like brings me back all these happy memories of Hong Kong. Yeah, just so many different smells. The streets are always really, really crowded, and it's funny because the people there, I feel like in America we try to like avoid each other, and you butt shoulders with somebody and you're like, oh, sorry, you know. And in Hong Kong, that's just not their culture. There's just like always a swarm of people all around you. There's not really a pattern to where people are walking. It's just like swarms going in all different directions, and you're bumping into people, and and it's fine. It's just fine. And just because there's so many people, they're just kind of used to it, I guess. And yeah. The next thing that I think about in Hong Kong is the street food because it's to die for. I already mentioned the bread shops, which that's something that every Hong Kong returned missionary mentions is the bread shops because they're to die for. Just imagine like a Rhodes roll that like has a bunch of different flavors, but it's like just as soft and just as like flaky and amazing. But then like you have different toppings and stuff, or sometimes it's stuffed with chocolate or whatever. They're just so delightful. Other really good street food, they always have things like siu mai and yudan, which are, I don't think there's a word in English for siu mai. It's just like these little, it's in like a yellow rice sackish kind of thing, and then there's like usually like shrimp meat or pork meat inside, and I don't know how they make them, but they're delicious. Or yudan, which they call fish balls, are just like, I don't even know what they are, but they're like these fishy little puffy ball things that I don't even know what they're made out of. Like the texture I would say is maybe a mixture between, it's like they mixed tofu with like fish meat and like ground it all up together and made a fish ball. Because it's like kind of like squishy, spongy, but it's like not as much as tofu. Anyways, but like those are usually all like soaked in some sort of a sauce, like it's like some soy sauce base or just like different like soups that they're like boiled in, and then they just like put them all on this like skewer stick and hand you a stick of like 8 of them or whatever, and you just eat them. Or they have like fried octopus tentacles that you can eat, or just like all these different street foods. And the other really good things that isn't like fish and like meat is gatsai bang, which it's starting to become a big thing in the UK, it looks like, just from what I see on like Facebook. It's, they're like waffles, but they are, if I was to describe the flavor, it's like a mixture between like a waffle and a fortune cookie. So it's like if you made a batter that tasted like that and turned it, like put it in a waffle, that's what it tastes like. But it's like the little weird bubble waffle irons. That was totally a Hong Kong thing before it was in the UK. But then they also have one where it's just like a regular waffle and you put like peanut butter and sesame seeds and sweetened condensed milk and all these other things on it. And it's just like heaven in your mouth. And needless to say, I got so fat on my mission because there was so much good food. But yeah, the people are some of my favorite. just because, like, I just really identified with them, I guess. They are very straightforward. They just say what's on their mind and they just say it straight. There's no beating around the bush about things. And so as I got there, I'm tall in general. So in Hong Kong, I was like super, super tall. And people would be like, wow, you're fat. Just because I was like so much bigger than them in general. But in the same sentence, in the same breath, they'd be like, you're beautiful. And it just was like super funny because they were just saying what they were thinking. And that was totally normal. But they're also some of the kindest people. They're so service oriented and always like looking out for everybody around them. They're very much like it's like everybody like does his own thing, but they're also very community based. Like I don't know how to explain it. They just like, you can tell that they all love each other, but they also just like love each other by minding their own business, I guess. Like it's a very non-conflict city, very safe city for that reason. And just people, like, they care so much about those that they have relationships with. There's this culture in Hong Kong. The phrase is guanhai, which in English means relationship, but it's like something so much deeper than that. And it's just like the way that they like talk to you, and like they'll just like grab your hand and just like when they're talking to you, and just like it just like radiates in every way, just in the way that they are with a person, that like you can tell how much they care about you. And just a very loyal people. And I learned so much about myself there because I was like, I just related. I'm very straightforward, and I was like, okay, I can be straightforward, but also be nice. And it was such a cool place and such a cool culture. So yeah, that's when I think about Hong Kong, food, and just the kind of people that they are, and it's great. And that's something that ties together, because whenever you're with people, whenever you're going to someone's house or like whatever, like everything's centered around food. You have social gatherings, and those social gatherings are food gatherings. Or if you're going to someone's house, like you bring them oranges or something to like show your respect and love for them. So yeah, great place, Hong Kong.